From Mamma Mia, welcome to The Spill, your daily pop culture fix. I'm Laura Brodnick.
And I'm Em Burnham.
And coming up on the show today, Emma Watson has given her first interview, her first long-form interview in years, and it is full of revelations about why she hasn't acted in 5 years, her relationship with Hollywood. She cried in the interview. Maybe we'll cry talking about it. Who's to say?
Who's to say?
Who's to say? But first, I've been crying this week. For a very beautiful reason, and it's the Dawson's Creek reunion.
That's crazy.
Really?
Yes.
Oh,
I guess. As in, like, it's crazy that they did a reunion.
Yes, because, well, it's not a reunion, the fact that they all came back and played their characters, because they've all gone on the record and said they would pretty much never do that.
Yeah.
And I think that's the right call.
Yeah.
I think leave it in the past. But what it was is that James Van Der Beek, who played Dawson Leary on the show, which was a huge, I can't even talk about what a huge thing this show was when it was out. It came to an end in 2003. So over 20 years ago now, people still talk about it all the time. It's one of those kind of like earth-shattering teen shows that people like attach their lives to. You know the ones.
Yeah.
So it's come out in the last few years that James Van Der Beek, who played Dawson, was diagnosed with cancer. And this event was both a fundraiser for him and also for a cancer foundation. And it was organised by Michelle Williams, one of his co-stars. And so what it was...
Because they're all really close, right?
Yeah, I mean, they weren't for a long time. Not close. They were close in the way of like, they kind of went to high school together because it's on this big teen show, and then they all went off and had their own careers and
became
lives.
Adults.
Yeah, exactly. So the only two that have remained super close since then are Michelle Williams and Busy Phillips, who played Audrey in the later seasons. They've been best friends and they call themselves soulmates, which I love.
That's so cute.
They're like, sometimes like they've both had like husbands and kids and stuff, but they're just like, but we're each other's soulmates. Like, that's just a fact, which I've always loved. So they've always been close, but really it's the last couple of years through James' cancer diagnosis that has all really brought them back together and got them on a group chat. And so they got back together in New York to do a live reading of the pilot episode. And it was really sad because James Van Der Beek at the last minute couldn't attend because he'd had 2 stomach flus and he was really sick. But the rest of the cast was there. So Michelle Williams, who played Jen Lindley, Joshua Jackson, who played Pacey Witter, Katie Holmes, who played Joey Potter, but also Kerr Smith, who played Jack, and Meredith Monroe, who played Andy, plus like the actors who played their parents, the actress who played Grams.
So like, pretty much everyone.
Pretty much everyone. It was so good. And also because Michelle Williams organised it and her husband is a really well-known theatre director, it was in the theatre where Hamilton usually plays. And at the last minute when James Van Der Beek couldn't attend, Lin-Manuel Miranda stepped in to play James Van Der Beek.
Stop.
Stepped in to
that
play
man's
Dawson.
Everywhere. All the
Exactly.
time.
And Renee Lee Goldsberry, who is really good friends with Busy Phillips because they did Girls 5 Ever together, but also one of the original Hamilton stars, emceed the night, and she opened it up by singing I Don't Want to Wait, and then she came out at the end and the theme song and got everyone to sing it. And then James Van Der Beek's wife came out, but first his 2 oldest daughters came out and they sang the song.
Shut up.
Which is really cute.
That's
so it was a
cute.
whole situation.
Wait, if Busy was in the later seasons, was she there even though it was like a pilot reading?
Yeah, she was playing different roles. Oh my God, her and Joshua Jackson fully pashed on stage.
No.
It was so good because their characters were together in the show for a really long time and they had this like really fiery relationship.
Who was in the audience?
Who was in the, so you could buy tickets. That was like part of the fundraiser. So it was media, but you could buy tickets and like the lines were snaking around the block.
Stop.
So it was like a fundraiser and it was being filmed. So I'm hoping they air it, even though like
surely.
I was sobbing from just watching the video. So I don't know if I'll get through that. And like Dawson's Creek isn't my favorite show in the world, but it was, I just think of like how like you and your friends have been recently.
Yeah.
With The Summer I Turned Pretty and how much you talk about it.
Yeah.
And how much that like it took over your lives.
Yeah.
Just imagine that.
I think it's saying any show that had a huge impact on your life when they're like back together again and you're watching them interact.
Yes.
Like similar to the Friends reunion when you're just watching them interact with each other.
Exactly. And you're seeing all those memories come back. And just also like, again, The Summer I Turned Pretty, like that was this for my generation.
Except I don't think they really like each other.
So. No, but it was like Summer I Turned Pretty, but like times 10 because it was a love triangle. I mean, it's about other things.
Yeah.
This like Dawson's Creek, but at the
How many
center.
seasons were there?
So it's 6 seasons.
That's a long time.
Yeah, exactly. And also it was old school TV, so it's 6 seasons, 22 episodes, and hour-long episodes. So
my God.
just imagine that. And
That's like-
imagine
Oh my God, so many movies.
this love triangle started when I was in primary school, and then I graduated high school and it was coming to an end. Just think about that. And also
So
it
the love
wasn't
triangle was between...
Dawson. Okay, so Dawson's Creek is about.
Yeah.
So it's like this tiny little town called Capeside that's on a creek, and it's Dawson Leary, who is like this teenage boy who's like is really creative and dreams of being a filmmaker.
Aww.
And the person he wants to be like all through the series is Steven Spielberg. He's obsessed with Spielberg. Dawson's Creek ends with him getting a call from Steven Spielberg, not the real Steven Spielberg, being like, "Hey, I want to talk to you about a project." And for this Dawson's Creek reunion, Steven Spielberg filmed a video and sent it in. And he's like, "Hey, Dawson, I just wanted to say you made it. I'm gonna cry."
Oh my God.
Anyway, so it's Dawson, and then his best friend, his whole childhood life is Joey Potter, this young girl from like the wrong side of the tracks, poor family. Her mum died, her dad's in jail, her sister's like pregnant to this guy, and everyone's like, she's trash, basically. She's not. And they're best friends, and her home life is really hard and difficult. So she often like rows her boat down the creek late at night, or like runs to Dawson's house at night.
Wait, her life's hard, so she rows her boat?
Yeah, to like escape her. Like no, they use the creek.
So where's she going?
To Dawson's house, and there's a ladder. There's ever since
so
they were little
mode of
kids.
transport.
There's a ladder outside Dawson's bedroom, and she climbs up, and they used to sleep in the sea.
That's quite scary though. What if they drown?
No, they're fine.
The creek's okay.
The creek's okay. The creek becomes less of a character as you go on.
Okay.
When I was in primary school and the show first started, there was this rumor, you know, like 12-year-olds are all like, ooh, like this whole thing, that everyone's like, oh my God, it's called Dawson's Creek because at the end Dawson's going to die and they're going to put his ashes in the creek. That didn't happen. But
that would have been great though.
That would have been great if that had come true.
Full circle moment.
But and so Joey would always sleep in Dawson's bed, and they were best friends. And it starts off with them. This was scandalous.
And their
at
parents
the time.
didn't know?
No, their parents knew. They knew Joey was in there. It's when they start to be teenagers. So the first episode of Dawson's Creek has them discussing the fact that Joey's like, I can't sleep over anymore. And he's like, why? You always sleep over. That's what we do. And she's like, but we have genitalia now. And he's like, we've always had genitalia. At the time, everyone was like, kids can't watch this show. Crazy. Like, this is too sexually explicit. They said genitalia on TV. It was such a big deal. I can't even tell you. I remember like parents at school being like, are you letting your kid watch Dawson's? Because I'm not letting my kid watch Dawson's.
Right.
And my mum being like, you're not allowed to watch this show. And I was like, but the creek.
Oh my God. That was like my generation with The Simpsons. Like half of you were allowed to watch it and half of you weren't.
Yeah, it became like a real thing. And so you had this bill, and then like Pacey's Dawson's best friend, but he and Joey always hated each other, never got along. And then Dawson and Joey start to fall in love, and then he breaks up with her. And he goes to Pacey and's like, I can't be around Joey at the moment, but I don't want her to be alone. So can you please like spend some time with her? And Pacey's like, but I really hate her. Anyway, they fall in love. And it is the
enemies
most,
to lovers.
Yeah, it's enemies to lovers. It's a love triangle.
So it's enemies to lovers, friends to lovers.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's everything. And like, again, The Summer I Turned Pretty, like watching that finale, everyone's being like who she's going to choose. But as we always said, like people always knew who she was going to choose. In Dawson's Creek, after 6 seasons, it comes to the finale when they're all grown up as adults. You're like, it was still really like, who is she going to choose? And also this, like, the moment Dawson found out they were in love.
Does she choose someone at the end?
Yeah,
Okay,
she does.
Me,
it's like the best moment. But also, again, to Summer I Turned Pretty, when everyone was like yelling at Belly for like running and jumping on a train with nothing, like my generation is like, please. We watch Joey Potter run down a dock and jump onto Pacey's boat and say, like, I choose you. This is in the earlier seasons when they get together for the first time. And then sail away for 3 months with nothing.
In the
like,
creek?
Yeah. Well, off into the ocean.
Oh, okay. I was like, just going around in circles.
Yeah. It's so good. It's actually...
who's the, like, is there a Stephen and Taylor character?
To an extent. I mean, there's obviously Michelle Williams plays Jen Lindley, the bad girl who comes from New York, who's been sent away from New York for being bad.
To the creek.
Yeah,
from
to the
New
creek.
York to the creek.
To Capeside. No, that's the whole thing. And there's, like, I guess her friendship with Jack and stuff and, like, their different romances. But it's just, it's so good. Anyway, so that's my review of Dawson's Creek 20 years later. But... it was really beautiful to watch the reunion.
I need to watch the show.
Everyone on stage. Well, here's the thing. I think you would really love it, but I think you would really struggle with the first season.
Right.
Because it feels very old school. It just moves differently to TV shows now, but maybe you would like it.
Slow.
Once you get into the Pacey Dawson-Joey, like the deep love triangle, you'll be so hooked. And when they go to college and like they have all these other people join the cast, like Chad Michael Murray and stuff, and that's when Busy Phillips comes along, you will be hooked on that.
Okay.
But, and just one little piece of, I don't mean to put a piece of gossip on the end of this, but on stage, Katie Holmes and Joshua Jackson at the reunion were like standing next to each other and they were hugging. They were all hugging on stage.
Because they're doing a movie together,
They're doing
a
movie together and they did date during the show. I don't think they're dating now. But I'll just say she put her head on his shoulder when she almost started crying and it was really beautiful. And then they did get into the same car together afterwards. Now, I'm not here to start a rumour because they could have just all been going to drinks. I'm sure they were all just all going to dinner and they just happened to get in the car together. But anyway, and then James Van Der Beek also put up 2 beautiful videos on the night. It was so devastating because he looks so sick and I love that man so much because not only was he Dawson, but he's a comedic genius. So anyway, if this Dawson's Creek reunion gets streamed anywhere that we can watch it in full, we will let you guys know. But yeah, it's been a emotional week for this Dawson's Creek fan. And I do want you to watch it. Can we watch the first episode together? Because I feel like I need to sit with you and just like
let's do a watch party in the office.
100%. All the girls in our office who are pining after Summer I Turned Pretty, maybe we just go back to Dawson's Creek.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love that.
So Emma Watson, who has been out of the spotlight for nearly 5 years now,
a long time.
since her last movie, Little Women. Well, she did like a short film since then, but like Little Women was like a huge kind of, international release blockbuster. She hasn't acted since then, so she hasn't been doing really any real interviews or press, a few little smatterings here and there for like endorsements. But
I heard that she did a play about herself.
Yeah, she did.
She made a play about herself that she sends on dates, which is iconic.
She reads that on dates and I was like, actually, it's not the worst idea I've ever heard.
We should do that.
100%. Actually, there's so many parts and times in here she talks about dating. I was like, why is this so relatable?
Yeah, she is iconic.
She's so great. So she went on Jay Shetty's podcast on purpose and it is the first time she's sat down for really such a honest and long form interview. It's 2.5 hours. But it goes so quickly because she's actually quite fascinating to listen to.
And she speaks so well.
She really does. And she talks a lot about the fact that she has made this decision to step away from acting and from Hollywood because she was feeling a lot like a product. And she talks about Little Women in an interesting way because she played Meg in Little Women. And she talks about the fact that there's scenes where they're standing next to Beth's gravesite. Spoilers for Little Women, that's been out for hundreds of years.
Spoilers for Little Women.
I don't know what people have watched.
Beth dies.
Yeah. Anthony, you and I always say that in our friendship group, if someone gets sick, right?
Giving Beth.
Okay, if one of my sisters also complains of being sick, I'll be like, okay, Beth. Eternally the sickly sister.
If I'm sick, I say I need to be read to by the sea.
Oh, like Joe does for Beth.
A lot of Beth references. Poor Beth.
I know, but that's what everyone says. Poor Beth. Poor Beth.
She just wanted to help that family.
She just became
got the flu.
She just became shorthand for I'm poorly and sick today. Anyway, so Emma Watson said filming those graveside scenes, she was trying to dig into her own traumas to bring up those feelings so that she could portray grief and sadness on camera. And that's when she had to sort of step back for a moment and say like, oh, I don't know if this is the right area for me to be into, that I'm continually having to do this to myself, because she was having a very negative takeaway from it. She also talks about not wanting to do interviews and press because she felt it was very disingenuous and she felt like doing red carpet interviews was too intense because you don't get to have a real conversation. She's like, she's so worried about what she looks like.
Yeah. She said she felt like she was like a salesperson, like she had to constantly sell something.
And as you know, I always have a bit of a bone to pick when celebrities say this, because the interview starts off with her saying to Jay Shetty, like, it's so lovely, we have so much time to talk and really have a conversation, and this is what I don't get from interviews. And so many celebrities say that, and it's most triggering for me, and I know this is a bit of a personal problem because I do those interviews and I'm the person who's sitting across from them that they're saying that they can't connect with.
Yeah, but it's not your fault that the interviews are 5 seconds long.
Well, that's the thing. It's especially hard when like a big actors come to Australia and they do these press junkets, which are so intense, and it's really hard to get a human moment out of someone, even though like I try so hard to do that. And then they go and off to their friends' podcasts and, you know, other actors, and they talk about how terrible press is because no one wants to talk to them, and they're finally getting to sit down and talk for 2 hours. And I was like, well, obviously I would talk to Emma Watson for 2 hours. Yeah. I would talk to any celebrity for 2 hours.
Emma, you don't want to talk to me for 2 hours.
Your team has said 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then also she's honest about that in this interview, because she says like she's stressed that she can't can't have a real conversation because she knows that she's been given talking points for the movie, that she has to hit these points, but she's not allowed to hit these points. And so in her head, she's like stressed about having to do it, which I know isn't a super relatable problem, but I do understand what she's saying.
Yeah. You don't want like a Tom Holland edit where you just give spoilers for massive Marvel movies.
Exactly. Well, it's only because when Tom Holland went on Jay Shetty's podcast, again, I like Jay Shetty and I think he's really interesting as a podcast host, but I do think
he's great at making candles, as we found out from With Love, Megan.
Oh, yeah. He loves the candle making situation. He says on here he loves playing poker. He's a man of many talents.
Oh.
But yeah, Tom Holland also said on Jay Shetty's podcast, like, oh, I like doing this because we get to have a real conversation. I don't like people just asking about the movie. And I was like, sir, your team tells us to ask about the movie.
Yeah.
Anyway, personal gripe to move past. But yeah, she talks about a lot of different things about like stepping away from Hollywood for that reason. It also, the interview starts off with her talking about her losing her license. Do you remember those headlines?
Wait, yes. I do remember that.
When it came out, I'm not sure how long she'd lost it for, but it was for excessive speeding. And it was just kind of hard.
Like being out of spotlight for 5 years and then we're like, we know you speed.
Well, that's what she says in this interview because she was like, all of a sudden, she's talking about the fact that she lost her license for speeding and it went through the courts and stuff, and all that stuff is public information but would never normally get reported on except when the name on the court case is Emma Watson.
Especially off the back on how much press we got from Justin Timberlake.
Yeah, exactly. Celeb driving offences, a huge hot topic. And then she was like, oh my God, she's like, I woke up that day and it was everywhere. She's like, it was front page of the BBC News. It's on every international it's on every international headline. And then she talks about the fact, and I don't know if this is, I didn't quite agree with this, but I'm going to let the girl live. She's like, I have just been on movie sets for so long and they send cars to pick you up because you're not allowed to drive yourself. And so I only used to drive myself on the weekends, and all of a sudden I stopped acting and I'm not being on movie sets. And so now I have to drive myself everywhere and get myself to places, and I'm just not equipped to do that. So I kept speeding. So I lost my license.
I mean, I don't drive that much.
Yeah, you and I never drive.
Yeah.
I have an alarm now on my phone and it goes off every Saturday with drive your car, and I go downstairs and drive my car around the block. Otherwise, once I went for 4 months without driving my car, every so often I'm like, shit, my car. And I like run downstairs and I'm like, oh, yeah, it's dead.
Oh.
That's what happens with being a city girl
or
being Emma Watson.
However, like Emma Watson, I have been done for speeding a few times.
I haven't, but it's only because like I only drive places. I only drive down the road to the shops, and I can't go over 20.
Once you hit a freeway.
Yeah.
I mean, don't listen to my advice.
Yeah. No. Again, this is the thing. Like, we're sort of laughing at Emma Watson, but also I feel a real affinity with her. She's like, it's really hard. She's like, I swear I used to be able to do things. I'm just in this moment in time where like I can't seem to get myself to where I need to go. I can't seem to do what I need to do. I can't seem to like live as an adult in this world without all these things around me. And I do think that's like quite, you get to a stage sometimes you're like, I used to be good at stuff.
Yeah.
And I can't quite do it anymore.
And now I can't drive.
And also when she talks about dating, it's funny you were saying that because she has written a play about herself. And she goes in the interview, I sent it to you, Jay, for you to read. And he's like, oh, okay.
Which Jay's like, man, is just like in the bin. That goes straight to bin.
Yeah, I actually feel like he would read it. But I almost felt like, geez, Emma Watson, send it to me. I'll read it. But she says sometimes she does either send it to dates or read it aloud to dates so they can understand her more.
God, that sounds like my worst nightmare of a first date.
Well, here's the thing. It's interesting because
what's there to understand more? You know what I mean? I feel like in her situation, if you're going on a date, say with someone who's non-famous.
Yeah.
The last thing you want to do is to tell them more about yourself so early on. Like, they're already coming in with this like upper hand because they know more about you already than you know about them.
Yeah.
So I would just cool it for a bit.
No, but she's doing it because she thinks
like the real her.
The preconceived notion of her. It made me think of that scene in Notting Hill where Julia Roberts' character says to Hugh Grant, like, people go to bed with the version of me, the movie star version of me, and they wake up with the real me, and it's a disappointment always. And that's what
maybe that's what people do with me.
Me too. They're like the version of you we see on the spill. Well, maybe you should try this tactic. So Emma Watson said, as a woman who is dating. Now, Emma Watson is dating, but she is also, and I hate this. It's okay if she wants to do it, but I hate when women do stuff like this. She's self-partnered, which means that she identifies as someone who will always be, even if she's in a relationship, she is partnered to herself, and that is her most important. I like the sentiment. I just don't think I loved self-partnered. Or maybe I'm not evolved enough yet to be there. Because I understand, if anyone understands being a single woman and being by yourself, like, it's me. I understand that 100%.
Why are women so scared of saying the word I'm single?
Yeah.
Like, just say that. It's fine.
I don't understand having to put a label on it, or like,
I'm self-partnered. It's like if you go to a wedding, do you check yes for +1 because you're self-partnered?
Did you bring it yourself?
Because you're self-partnered. So you get the chicken and the fish.
Because you've got your seat next to you. And on like your travel forms, your bank forms, they say relationship status, and you're like,
when you're applying for a loan.
In a relationship.
Yeah, in a relationship.
How many people living in the house? Well, there's 2.
There's 2 of us.
Self-partnered. Again, whatever people want to do, but I'm not evolved enough to be self-partnered.
Okay.
Emma Watson is. She's obviously smarter than me. Well, she went to Brown and Oxford, so I think that's fair to say.
I love how it comes with a caveat that, but if I do get into a relationship, I'm still self-partnered.
Yeah, because
so it's not going to stop her from getting into a relationship.
She says she's out there dating. Like, she's not saying, oh, I want to be single. It's like most people who are single, they're like not making a stance on being single and being like, oh, I'm going to be single. It's just literally like, I haven't met anyone, and being single is better than dating one of the jerks that I've met.
Yeah, literally.
But she says she talks about a date she went on recently. She's like, I'm a woman in my 30s dating, and it's awful. She's like, not because she's in her 30s, but she's like, dating in general, I think we can all agree, no matter who you are, is a bit difficult sometimes, but it's what she's doing. And so she talks about the fact that she was on a date with this guy, and halfway through the date, he goes to her like, oh, I've got to say, like, the idea of Emma Watson makes me really, really nervous. And she was like, the idea of Emma Watson makes me nervous because...
Oh, why did you say that?
Well, because she's like, it was this thing looming over them on their date that he was so nervous about dating this person who has been famous, internationally famous her entire life, is in these huge movies, has this huge persona, but also does all these things, like is a spokeswoman for this and has done this and all these things. And she was like, yeah, I'm nervous of her too, because that's not me. I don't look like that. She's like, when I see pictures of myself on billboards and on red carpets, I don't look like that in real life. But she's like, when I see myself edited down, I don't speak like that in real life. So like, I walk into a room with Emma Watson looming over me, and she's too much to deal with, but I am Emma Watson.
Yeah, I would be really like shitty to be a really famous person dating people who aren't famous, because you're constantly having to explain yourself. Yeah. Constantly on the first date, you're constantly having to be like, I'm not like that. I'm not like that. This is what I'm like. This is what oh my God, I can't even imagine how frustrating that would be.
Yeah. There's actually a lot of relatable moments in the interview. One is when she talks about one of the reasons that she stepped away from making movies and she stepped away from Hollywood for over 5 years, and Little Women was her last big role. And also interesting with Little Women, like, I don't know if you remember this at the time, that she did one premiere, I think, and then opted out of the entire press tour.
I don't remember this.
Yeah, so the press tour was huge because it was Saoirse Ronan and Florence Pugh and, and Laura Dern and Meryl Streep and Timothy Chalamet. It was this huge thing. But at the time, Emma Watson was one of the biggest stars. Like, now Florence Pugh would probably be the biggest star. But then Emma Watson was like number one.
It was number one because when I first watched Little Women, and that's when it became like one of my favorite movies of all time, I was watching it for Emma Watson. Like, for me, she was the most famous person in that movie.
Well, you've got to think she's coming off of not just the Harry Potter franchise, but like Beauty and the Beast and these huge kind of things, and people really loved her.
Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
Oh, what was that movie she played? That the one about those teenagers who stole
Bling
stuff
Ring.
from Paris Hilton.
Sophia Coppola's The Bling Ring. Yeah.
Oh,
that was a wild departure for her. I actually loved her as like
with
a
the
crazy
American
party
accent.
girl. Yeah.
Oh my God. She was crazy in that.
No, she was so good in that. But yes, she talks about the fact that one of the reasons that she stepped away from acting, and is kind of really telling that she also stepped away from the press tour of that movie, because at the time people were like, why are all the other women like out shilling this movie across the world and Emma Watson's not? She must have had some caveat in her contract, or did she just say, I'm not doing it? Which I don't think you can, because you would get sued, because you get paid an extra amount on top of the movie to do the press run.
Yeah.
So something must have happened
but
then.
Some actors get away with not having to do it.
Yeah, but they have to get that in their contract before they film the movie.
Right, okay.
If you like sign on to film the movie, you get paid an extra amount.
And do you think it's like unlikely for her to ever get a contract like that just because she hasn't been in the industry for that long?
Yeah. Oh, Emma Watson.
Yeah.
Well, no, I think that she would be the one that they'd say you have to do press, because people want to talk to you. Like, because of Harry Potter, people always want to interview her. There's never going to be a moment in her career where people are turning away that opportunity to chat to her because she's just such a recognizable name. But she talks about the fact that she grew up on the Harry Potter sets and they felt like such a family. And then she went into other movies basically looking for family and friendship and didn't find it.
And they were very much like, this is a job.
I found the rejection really painful. And maybe I just wasn't built for those kinds of highly competitive environments. It broke me.
That's so heartbreaking.
Yeah, it really is. I know, and if you watch the video of it, she's crying quite a bit. And I understand that because she's looking back on this moment. And then later in the interview, she says, the other really hard thing is that when you go on these press tours is that all the actors sit there and they get asked, like, do you guys hang out together? Are you friends? And everyone says yes. And she says, it's not true. We don't hang out together. People don't see each other. That's so rare for it to happen.
It's just what the audience want to hear.
Exactly. And she said the further heartbreak is pretending something that you want. She just sounds like an incredibly lonely person for someone who, and I'm not saying she doesn't have family or friends or anything like that, but I just think she went into all these movies with so much money and fame that she didn't have to keep acting. It sounds like she just wanted community and she wanted friends and just wasn't able to find that. And I don't mean this to come out in a bad way, but I do find something a little comforting in the fact that even Emma Watson, golden girl of our lives, struggles with loneliness and friendship, because when you get into your 30s, finding friends is hard and finding community is really, really hard. And I just assumed it would be a bit easier if you were her.
Yeah, it feels like it's harder.
Yeah. And she doesn't sort of say anything bad about any of her co-stars. I'm sure people will jump to that. They'll be like, was it Florence Pugh who wouldn't be friends with her?
I think most people are assuming it's Little Women.
Yeah, was it Saoirse Ronan or like was it, someone on the cast of, was it Josh Gad on the cast of Beauty and the Beast? Was it Tom Hanks in The Circle? Was it...
Tom Hanks.
Was it the girls on the Bling Ring set? You know what I mean? Like, but it probably was a little bit of all of them.
Yeah, where you go into like being a kid and that being your life. Like, it's not just a job for you. It's like they would have had tutors. Their parents were on set. They were like in an actual community, to then being an adult and trying to do the same thing, and then you're just there by yourself.
Yeah. And I think it happens. I think it's really refreshing to hear because, like, even from my own point of view, like, I've made a lot of friends at Mamma Mia who are all my best friends now. But before that, I moved to so many new cities where I knew no one for work. And every time I got there, I kind of assumed that I would just be friends with who I worked with. And sometimes I went up to a year with no friends, having no one in a town, no friends, no one. And it wasn't that there was something wrong with me, I hope, or something wrong with them. It was more so that, like, you just don't make friends and community everywhere you go, no matter how sparkly you are. And so I feel like that's what she's trying to say. And I feel like people are trying to look for a celebrity feud, but it's just someone who was looking for friendship, and friendship is hard, and she couldn't find it.
That's so sad.
So as I said, the full interview with Emma is over 2 hours long.
Yeah.
It's so worth listening to.
It's so worth it.
Yeah.
She speaks so well.
Yeah. And as much as we're having a little laugh at our speeding, self-partnered gal, we can only do that because I feel like she's ours. She's like she's one of our people.
We've claimed her.
So it's like you can like make fun of your friends, but other people can't. That's the vibe I have with Emma Watson.
Any people in relationships, no. You can't say anything about Emma
Only
Watson.
we're allowed to say it.